Welcome back to the Business Leaders of America podcast, where business leaders come to share their advice and journeys to success with existing and emerging leaders of America. Now, here's your host, Dylan Bloyd.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Business Leaders of America podcast. Today, I'm joined by Gilad Bechar, the founder and CEO of Moburst, a global mobile-first digital agency that has helped some of the world's leading technology companies grow, including Google, Uber, Samsung, Dropbox, and Robinhood. Over the last decade, Gilad has built Moburst into a trusted growth partner for companies looking to scale through data-driven strategy, create innovation, product optimization, and performance marketing. Since entering the mobile space, Gilad has helped shape the way brands approach mobile growth and has built a team of over 100 experts across offices around the world. Beyond building a successful global agency, Gilad has become a recognized leader in digital marketing, helping companies navigate the rapidly changing landscape of technology, consumer behavior, and artificial intelligence. In this conversation, we'll talk about Gilad's entrepreneurial journey, how he recognized the opportunity in mobile marketing, the future of AI in marketing, and the lessons he's learned from building Moburst. Gilad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm kind of excited to get this going. But, before we dive into Moburst and the world of mobile growth, can you tell us about your journey? What experiences early in your career led you to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think that I was pretty lousy at being an employee, to be very honest. I think that I was always getting amazing results for my employers, but I always thought about how you can actually scale further and do more things. And I kept on saying, no, we understand all of that part, but focus on in here, from here to here. And that's kind of the only between those walls, you can do whatever you want, but those are the walls. This is the direction. And I felt like every single time I see things in a bit of like 3 steps ahead. And I think that I always proved that the results that I was delivering on every single role that I was doing were significantly better than my previous people that actually have done that role before. Right. But I always pave the ways to do additional things or more strategic things or a different way of creating it. And a lot of times I was stepping on a lot of different toes for my previous employers. And I think that that's kind of what it led me to say, you know what, I learned this and I learned that. And I led over there. I was an employee on the brand side and on an agency side and on the media buying part of a company that is a media buyer and kind of manages publisher. So, and I was on a big enterprise, and then I was on the startup side. So I saw all of the different angles, and I saw that no matter what type of culture, I understand a lot of the challenges, but I just want to do it in my way. And that's what kind of made me open my own firm.
Right. Yeah. No, you're a visionary, right? And they just want to keep you in their box and not get out of those confined spaces, like you said. So it's pretty amazing. I'm glad. I think it's really cool that the way the path to where you got to where you are today. And so, you entered the mobile space around 2010, right? So when the App Store was still in its early days, of course. So what did you see happening in mobile that made you believe that this was going to be such an important part of how business connects with customers?
So I think that I was always an early adopter, and I always liked all of the new platforms, all of the new capabilities, all of the new features. I was always one of the first ones to actually touch and break all of those different pieces. With every new feature that comes out, every single new platform nowadays with AI, it's even harder than ever before because of the pace of innovation that is overwhelming. Yes. But I was always kind of a data geek on one end, and on the other end, really trying to push hard. Like, okay, if you can do this in this way, you can leverage that in a different way, and then actually getting more potential hyper growth or things of that nature. So in 2010, basically, I was already focusing on the mobile side of things. I was working on an operator, basically a big operator back in Tel Aviv, and where I was focusing there is trying to see how we can actually get the best possible performance for this new channel. And I saw that all of the best practices of what converts a user on the digital side, on the website or social back in the day, was very different than how you're actually treating it on your mobile device, where the device is much smaller, you have much less real estate of how they're actually displaying the items. No one wants to start pinching the screen and zooming in and zooming out from different sections of the website. You need a mobile web experience of actually having something that was designed for mobile and not just scaled down to mobile and now it doesn't fit in the same way. And the scrolling is a very different type of experience rather than actually using a cursor and a keyboard. Like everything there, the user behavior is very different. And I felt like the way of how you communicate with customers, how you actually excel, how you're actually providing them a lot of value, you need first to understand the platform in order to be able to get your message on the right screen, on the right way, on the right platform, and in bridging that gap between brands and advertisers and the clients, basically. So I saw a lot of mistakes. I was starting from this type of a walk of shame column in one of the biggest kind of publications related to economics and things of that nature. And I was just showing this is how not to do mobile right. This is how not to do, and showed horrific user experiences of saying, yeah, okay, the agency was taking basically the same budget on the desktops and they just say, yeah, okay, V next to the, oh, yeah, run it also on mobile devices. And it looked like crap. It felt so wrong, and it was just a very lousy experience. And I just kind of done a lot of walk of shame of what should not be doing. And then I was looking for a lot of inspirations with the innovative brands about how to actually do it right, and started that notion of like doing mobile right, and how to actually get the right type of user experience, and how to get less friction, and how to actually not getting the need to fill out 15 forms, and every single time you need to flip the form from numbers to letters to like all of those things that are different on the keyboard on the mobile side. Like a lot of different mistakes that were now it seems like much more trivial. Your level of expectation is much higher, but back then there were no so many best practices around those things. And I just felt like there was a big niche that most agencies said, yeah, sure, if we do digital, of course we do mobile as well, but it's not doing it well. And I felt like there was a big potential there for someone that will say, like, this is how we design the product. We don't start from desktop, we start from mobile. And if you manage to do a good experience on the mobile, then scaling it up to a bigger screen is much easier than trying to tweak 1,500 features into one screen, into a small thing, and then you're trying to tap on something and you're tapping on the wrong thing, and now you are getting into the wrong place, and the frustration that comes with that.
Yes, exactly. I think there's a lot of people, at this point who just expect it, like you said, but back then, did you see it being that did you see it kind of going that route where it was going to be more important to be for, for mobile rather than desktop? Or did you feel like it was always just going to be just as important? Or did you think that eventually it was going to be like, no, this is going to be where people are going to spend the most time on mobile?
So back then, I didn't know that it will be more than 50% of the world is going to be serving the internet through the mobile devices. But I did see the trend of saying, okay, so now it's like 2%, it will grow to 5%, it will grow to 15%. Like Gartner and Nielsen already provided some research around how big that niche could be. I don't think that they anticipated that much or that far ahead on the prices of phones becoming so minimal, and every single person on planet will have or iOS or Android device, and even which type of operation system will be, like lots of things that have changed throughout the years. But I feel like I definitely saw the potential of this is like an unserved market with a big need and a lot of companies that are spending money there in a really, really inefficient way. And I knew that it could be done better and different. And I thought that there was definitely a use case of experts that will think first of this type of a platform. It will start with a very small niche, but I feel like that niche will grow very, very meaningfully. So that's kind of where we started again back in the day.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And so I think there's a lot of founders out there, and people who have made it very big, but they say that, they like to claim that they're like, oh, we always knew it was going to be, mobiles were going to be the next big thing. And maybe they did, but I like that you're being honest about that. You didn't know it was going to be quite that, but you did see the niche area of it all. And then obviously it took off, right? And this day and age is so much different than 2010. Phones are different, apps are different. It's crazy how fast it has changed. And like you said, the advancement of technology, advancement of AI, but when you founded Moburst in 2013, was there what was the vision, I guess, behind the company, and what gap did you see in the market that you believed needed to be solved?
I think that back in the day, a lot of companies would go to an agency, say, well, we just have this app or this campaign that we want to launch. Usually the experience was that, okay, the agency will say, fantastic, give me $50,000. I will start doing for your campaign on here and here and there. And then what usually happened was that the apps were not having the right user experience necessarily. Like an app that just, for example, think about like a Tinder type of an app. But now in order to register and start seeing profiles, you need to fill out a profile of 25 different things about who you are, what you do, adding photos of yourself, adding videos of yourself, adding so many things. So it will take you around 12 minutes to fill your first profile before you see any value from the app. Like who would do that? Like it doesn't naturally, it doesn't. If you see a lot of profiles now, you want to match with someone, and now you have incentive to open a deep profile. And even then, I wouldn't do it in this crazy way. I would do it more like LinkedIn, like start with the basics, and then hey, your profile is 60% done. If you're adding more, you'll get more discoverability, you'll get more things, like giving you some type of homework, but not crazy amount of homework before we are showing you the value. So I feel like that notion of how to approach users and how to actually lure them in is something that was very prominent and was very uncommon, because most of the agencies out there would say, give me $50,000, I will do a media campaign. If it works, it was because we are media wizards and we are geniuses. If it didn't work, it was because your product sucks, it doesn't work well, fix it and come back to us when it will be working. And no one actually gave the care and attention of how to fix that product. Okay, the mobile space. If right now it's not marketable just yet because the flow doesn't make sense, or you're asking the user to go through too many hurdles or things of that nature, we need not just to create like a mobile marketing agency that will focus on creative and media, but also a product division that will be serving as a kind of a trusted consultant that will be able to help you to refine what you need within the product. Like if you're thinking about agencies in general, someone giving you a can of Coca-Cola, and now you're saying, okay, this is Coke, try to sell it to everyone. And now, okay, let's push media, and hopefully people will want to buy that Coke. But the reality is that we came in approach saying, but if the Coke is not designed in a way that actually makes you want to taste it, maybe let's change the packaging. Maybe let's change the way that it works. Like maybe going very, very deep into the product and not just not just pushing it with media. And I think that approach was coming to say, like we are not just like a media agency. Well, a consultancy, think about it like the McKinsey for mobile apps, that helps you to shape the business in a different way, how to do the monetization, like how much would you charge for this product? Are you giving it for free, or is it a paid app? If it's a free app, maybe actually giving a first 7 days for free and then start charging after the user actually get a good flavor of it. Like a lot of those things that were not as common back in the day. And I think that notion of saying this is something that we come to the market in a very different way, as both as a consultancy that doesn't scale as much as media. You always want to say, hey, if we are spending $100,000 on media, okay, great. Now we can scale it to 200, 300, 500, what have you, a month, and scale the agency, so to speak. But if the media doesn't work, basically you're killing the client rather than instead of it, let's help them to get to a good product experience. So the media will make sense, and then we will actually help them to create the right type of experience for the user. And that was a very different path than I think 99.9% of the agencies out there that will always say, give me media budget, give me $50,000, let's give it a shot. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, it's your problem. Go fix it and come back to us when the product is in a good place.
Yes, exactly. I feel like it's even more important nowadays than it was back then too, because studies are out there talking about attention spans getting even smaller than they were before, and so if something doesn't grab somebody's attention right away, or it's not easily accessible, like you said, going through a million questions to vet the person or whatever it is, people are just going to get rid of it and go on to the next one. It's so simple to just be like, nope, that's not for me, delete, go with the next app, right? And so you really have to have, make sure that you are differentiating, but also making it super user friendly for the customer.
Exactly. And we saw that most of the other competitors back in the day were not doing that. Like it was like consultancy starting selling hours and packages of hours. But then after we help them to finish, and now the product is in a good place. Now what are you doing? Reallocating the team's time to other projects. So it's not as a retainer base like agencies love retainers and are loving that stability. So I have these 3 employees that are focusing on those 5 projects, and it's very organized and things of that nature. And in this specific case, okay, they need 20 hours of consultation to redo that part. And now, okay, like we have capacity for other things. So it's not as stable, it's not as profitable, so to speak, but it helped solving a massive pain point of so many products that came to us immaturely. And instead of wasting their budget, we're very open about it, and we're also coming to them saying, guys, you weren't gonna like it. I know that you designed it and you developed it, and you had the development firm that was doing the. I don't want to be your developers. I understand that you have a developer. I'm not trying to change everything, but right now, based on what we see, the chances of you getting a positive reaction by marketing it. Right now, your baby is ugly, and it's a hard conversation for most of the companies. Saying, "Yeah, you know what, your
Yeah.
baby is not. It's not where it needs to be, and
Yes.
you need to. And you're trying to register them now for middle school, and they didn't finish elementary just yet, and it's not the right process for them. So I feel like those discussions, a lot of brands, a lot of startups really appreciate that, and I think they have a lot of good friends from 14 years ago that started with us on a very early stage, and they move between companies and things like that nature, and they always remember that I didn't try to take budget in order to take budget and finance my family, but actually really try to see how can we help them to do the right thing, even if it's against it's again taking $5,000 of consulting or $10,000 of consulting instead of $50,000 of budget. It's not in my best interest. Now they're
Yes.
going back to the design or the development partner and getting them all of that friction. They might actually choose another vendor later on for the marketing and things of that nature. But I felt like this is the right thing to do, and I think that it paid really big dividends over time.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so, some people need to understand, just be told, you can't skip steps. You got to make sure you're doing everything in the right way. And at the same time, sometimes it's great to have somebody come in with, that don't have filter glasses, a new set of eyes, and take a look and be able to help you get to where you need to get to. So when you first started, did you started Moburst? Did you go at it alone, or did you have a team of people? And then what exactly were like the challenges, for you when you guys were trying to scale yourselves?
So that's a great question. So I started as a consultant, and basically as a consultant, I managed to get to start selling, so to speak, 50 hours a month, and then 150 hours a month, and then 250 hours a month. And I said, okay,
Wow.
it's overwhelming. Like, how can I do that? I continue on working weekdays and weekends and crazy nights and days, and I can't really scale it efficiently. So
Right.
at the same time, a good colleague, a good friend, and a colleague of mine basically told me, listen, I'm thinking about my next step is I'm 8 years now doing this the digital growth in so many. I was doing SEO and media and lots of other things, not on the mobile space. But he was with me in the army. We served together in the army for a few years. And basically, like in Israel, you have to go to the army. It's part of your course. It's not like it's a civil duty. So
Yes.
basically, when I was in the army, I was with him in the same unit. We were both commanders in the same unit. So I shared a lot of things with him for quite a few good years, and I know that the trust with him was phenomenal. So it wasn't like talking to a potential employee or something like that.
Yeah.
He was going on a route where he was doing the digital side of learning how digital works for 8 years, from the most junior person to a VP in a digital performance company. And I was basically opening my own consultancy, basically after having a lot of years of mobile experience on many different companies. And I told him, well, you know what, I'm looking on how to actually get my first employee, so to speak, but I'm afraid of hiring an employee because I have those methods that I feel like are very unique. I don't want from an employee of mine that can actually turn against me and then open their own agency and then
Yes.
basically. So I had some trust issues with how to actually start scaling that initially, and I felt like with Lior, my co-founder, basically I said, you know what, let's try to work on that together. I know performance really well. You don't know mobile as well. I can teach you on that part. You'll teach me more on the digital front that are not specific mobile first things. And let's see how it works together, because we always had the same vibe, and we always managed to communicate really well, and we were going through tough things in the army together, so the trust was
Yeah.
definitely there. And we said, let's give it a shot for 3 months, and let's
Mhm.
split the revenues, basically based on how we are doing. so we started it for 3 months, and during those 3 months, we found ourselves saying like, okay, we need an office, we need 4 more
Yeah.
employees at least. We managed to scale so many other things. We need to open it as an actual entity and not just a consultancy type of it. So I'm a consultant, and he's a consultant, and then like we have like
Right.
no. It needs to be a company, and it needs to be much more organized than that. And we need to start having our first office and actually hiring more employees because it scaled really, really fast. And I think that the results that we managed to give for our clients were delivering phenomenal results. And then they basically came back to us a month later and saying, okay, now double it, now triple it. And saying, okay, wait just a minute. I need to see how I'm doing it.
Yes.
So that's how we kind of started form forces together. I was almost like a year and a half before that as a consultant. So a lot of companies and startups reached out to me and basically only wanted to work with me in the initial
Yeah.
stages. And when I have a co-founder, I said like, guys, again, you can trust Leo. Like he is, yeah, we know, but we
Yes.
hired you.
We trust
Like we
you.
want
Yeah.
we want you on the project. So starting to see how we can actually delegate and what kind of being the front of the house and the back of the house and how to actually start splitting the workflows was obviously very, very challenging. And where we were 6 folks, and probably around 6 months after we were formed as a company, we had an offer of basically investment into the company. We helped some startups that were doing really, really well after working with us, and their investors came to us and saying, well, guys, we believe in the startup that you just worked with. You helped them to unlock a massive, massive bottleneck. Phenomenal. But we also want to invest in you guys and help you guys to actually open another office in New York. And we're willing to invest in you guys. And my previous role, I was I was a CEO of in a group of companies in a very large conglomerate, and there I had a board that I needed to report to, and that board was the owner of that. Like I was CEO and partner there, but I was partner of like 10% of the company, 90% was by the owner that actually opened the notion of basically the company. It was a sub company under his group, and I suffered a lot from having a board. And I said, you know what? I'm not sure that I want to have a
Yeah.
board because that board that I needed to report to did not support was very, very tough to manage, and that was the reason that I didn't stay within that company.
Yeah.
I managed to overachieve the results of what we set up, and I was supposed to have a budget of $400,000 of a dip before we start becoming profitable. And we became profitable in the second month of the operations, and I wanted to take the same dip and just doing it like using the same $400,000, but using it with like hiring faster and doing more things. And they didn't allow me to do that. So, no. If you don't need the 400,000, we are shifting it to other companies in the group. And I said, if this is the experience that I have with the board, that instead of being supportive, was saying you've done it so well and so fast, and managed already. So I said, I'm not sure that I want a board. So there was a lot of discussions about is it the right decision to actually take this type of potential funding. We ended up did take this type of funding, but having a very, very strict board seats and what is the investors that can do, what are we doing, who is actually making the calls. We ended up only giving 6% of the company, so it was also felt like it's not too heavy
Exactly.
of a stake in the company. I still own the majority. I still know how to
Majority.
actually.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was definitely a good setup at the end of the day that started us to go in a very different route of actually developing technologies and actually going through the ability to hire more folks in New York and then opening in San Francisco office. We raised $2.4 million. There are lots of things that actually grew from there, but it wasn't a planned pace. It was something that just came as an opportunity in front of us, and we said, well, we are not sure that this is the right opportunity, but if we are setting the stage in a place where it can become enabler for us, it could be a phenomenal opportunity.
Yes.
And we managed to set it in a way that was actually a great win-win for everyone.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like having that board was almost putting you back in that box, right? Not allowing you to kind of do what you want to do and be the visionary that you want to be and make the decisions. It's always difficult, but at the same time, yes, funding is necessary at certain times, but at the same time, make sure that you negotiate it in a way that is going to allow you to still be the visionary, be the person that drives this company, right? And so it happens a lot, and people that I've spoken with who have talked about how, that's where companies will sometimes fail. They take too much capital in, give too much equity away, and then all of a sudden they can't make the decisions. And some of these people will come in and they don't have no idea what the industry is even about, and then they're trying to make the decisions. And it's like, man, just let me do what I need to do, to make this, there's a reason why you even invested, right? So, your story is very unique, even back to what you were saying about, your co-founder. Not many people get to start their company with somebody or, be a co-founder with a person who you got to be in the military with, you got to serve with, someone who you trust your life with, because it's always, a lot of founders do have difficulty hiring that first employee because they don't know if they're going to be able to do it to their expectations. And then come to find out, look how much more productivity you can get done. And then obviously you guys talked about how we can get 4 or 5 more employees in right away. It helps with that. It's just getting through that first hurdle, right?
Yeah, I think that you have to take that first leap of faith. You have no idea
Yeah.
where it will lead you. Initially, it's very hard to imagine. Like if you are telling me that after 13 years, I will still be working in the same company, that is still my company, but still own it and still operate it, I probably would say you're probably crazy. Like I don't
Yes.
see that I'm going to be lasting for so long in the same vein. If you're telling me that I was back then doing 6 acquisitions and 150 employees, I would say, what are you talking about? It's not. It's
Yes.
how? No, like it's. And I was relocated. So basically, for relocated from Tel Aviv to New York, and then to Florida, and basically the entire family moving. Like
Yes.
so many things that actually evolved through these years and through the challenges that we had and through the opportunities that we found, that you never know what the next pace or kind of the next step that you will go into will open what type of doors. And I think that if you just believe in the, not just here and now, but also saying, 2 steps ahead of saying, hey, you know what,
Mhm.
this is someone that I can definitely trust and I can see how we are building things. I don't know what exactly will be built, but I believe that we can build amazing things together. And he's smart and he knows how to
Yeah.
actually help me, like, thinking partner and someone that I can rely on and trust on. And we can definitely, take this journey together and see what the world will bring on us, and how we can actually approach different challenges together. I think that it obviously brings you a lot of peace of mind, even where sometimes you're risking things that you're saying, you know what, it's am I all in on that specific niche, on
Yes.
that specific part, on that specific campaign, or I'm risking here on this type of an RFP, for example, like when we have a big proposal from a brand that wants to take us and potentially, like, we are against one other company in the final, and you need to design what is the budget, how much would it cost them to actually work with you, what is the for the budget for the creative or media buying, or a lot of different things, and you're saying, you know what, it's kind of almost like a poker. You don't know what you're playing
Yeah.
against. You hope that your hand is good enough, but you're not sure all the way.
Right.
And someone to consult with on those harder moments where you don't have the certainty, you don't have the 100% that that this is the right course or the right direction, and to have someone that you can trust and basically doing this back and forth, and a thinking partner is really, really important, especially where the business is growing fast and there are lots of pieces, and you need to rely on someone, and you need to put your trust into saying, I can't do everything. There is no way that I can deal with everything. I need to make sure that I'm kind of counting on someone that is having the same work ethic as I am, and we're having the
Yeah.
same beliefs as I am, and having the same values as I am. So I'll be able to delegate and basically be peace of mind of saying, like, if he's dealing with it, I don't need to. Like, we are splitting the burden.
Right, exactly. The same beliefs, same vision, but at the same time, you guys bring different things to the table, right? And so, it's amazing. So since then, since 2013, when you guys started, you guys have worked with some huge companies and helped huge companies, Google, Uber, Samsung, some of the, just to name a few. When you work with companies like that who have already achieved that a level of success, they often have very talented teams and significant resources, right? So what do you believe they're looking for from a partner like Moburst that they can't easily, build internally?
I think it's a great question. I think that, like, when we started working with Google, for example, they have probably tens of thousands of UI UX experts, like product
Yeah.
experts. They build some of the most prolific brands on earth. When you think about Google Maps, YouTube, Chrome search,
Oh my
YouTube TV,
gosh. Yeah.
Gmail, products that have billions of users. And I think they have really smart designers. I think they have really smart marketeers, and they have very, very talented teams there for sure. But at the same time, I feel like when you're thinking about, just for example, App Store optimization, like getting you ranked higher on the on iOS, on the iPhone operating system, because on Google they are pre-installed on all of the devices. It's very easy for them. They don't need anyone to even install them. Android is theirs, so they are just putting their Google Maps, and here we go. You don't need any marketing for that. But on iOS, it's not necessarily the case. It's not the case. You need to download it in the App Store, and then how to optimize the app in the App Store, reverse engineering the algorithm of the App Store, and seeing what will actually get a higher conversion rate, and what the user needs to see, what type of messaging, what type of screenshots or preview video or icon to actually enhance the product of actually when someone is searching for maps in the App Store, that they will be coming first, or when someone is looking for videos, YouTube will come first on the App Store. So reverse engineering the algorithm there is not as straightforward as it might seem, and moreover, it's not really the role of Google. Google built Google Play Store; they didn't build the App Store of Apple. And the same thing goes for the way to talk to users. Like, they know how to create beautiful products. Really, some of the best products on earth were built by Google. But at the same time, what is the message that the user needs to see in order to convert them on a higher ratio? Just for example, if someone is looking for offline maps on the App Store and showing them the right screenshots of how offline maps works within Google Maps, which is a feature that you might not even be aware of, it's something that is not as easily to communicate, create those assets, testing them at scale, and actually building it in a way where the funnel from impression to click to download to registered user, loyal user, paying user will actually make sense throughout the funnel. And I feel like this is something that we knew how to do extremely well. So they had a lot of designers, but we created the storytelling of how to present their value proposition on the App Store, not in a way of a branding, but in a way of a performance, like how to convert users on the highest ratio on the App Store. So when someone is searching for watch videos, they will have the ideal set of screens to get more users to tap on the get button and basically download YouTube rather than actually downloading any other video editorial things or video players and things of that nature. So I feel like the expertise of how to convert those users in that specific decision point made them trust us, saying, you know what, let's test a few different directions of what your creative will actually be designing. Obviously, we're using their UI, their UX, their brand guidelines, and lots of those things, but we are trying to push it to the edge, because their branding team will make beautiful designs, but they will not convert as well. They don't know what are the best practices to convert a user on the App Store in that exploration phase. And we knew how to actually help them to fetch that part. So we worked with more than 30 of their products in 26 languages and helped them to roll it out globally. And it was just like, again, one of the clients that we worked with. With Microsoft, we are helping Copilot and Edge and M365 and like a lot of different brands. With Uber, it was Uber Eats and Uber Rider and Uber Driver. For each of them, we managed to plug in a level of expertise that, yes, every designer on the world can actually design you beautiful design, but you're not about how beautiful that design is. It's about how well it converts, because if I can actually convert you 10% more every single day, it could be worth, in their case, to tens of millions of more downloads a year. It's a massive company. So every single 2% or 5% or 1% on additional conversion, or getting you for more keywords ranked on more phrases ranked on the App Store, being featured more often, this thing worth a lot of money for those companies. And they were looking for expertise, just like, Google has, lawyers. I guess that they have probably tens of thousands of people that are lawyers in the definition under their company, but they still have law firms that are helping them on drafting, the big acquisitions that they're doing and things of that nature. So you need also a lot of times like the experts that will come in and will be able to help you to do things in the most professional way possible.
Right. Absolutely. How long are you typically with those companies, those large companies specifically?
So it's a good question. It really depends. Usually our agreements are 6 months or 12 months every single time for a specific scope. But usually we're also keeping that client for like 6 or 8 scopes. So it's anywhere between 4 to 6 years is kind of the average of a client span. with us for lots of different types of different needs or wants. So it could be around the creative and media buying in the organic side and recreating elements. So there are lots of services that we are helping them on the PR side, on the podcasting side. There are lots of different services that the company offers. So it really depends on the service line itself. In the PR side, for example, an average could be 4.5 years. On the performance in general, it could be 6 years. So it really just depends on what it is that the KPI that we are trying to hit, what is the main objective that we are trying to hit, and then how effective we are on getting there. With Google, you're surviving more than a quarter is very hard because they have something that's called OKRs, how they're actually measuring the performance indicators, saying like this was a successful thing or not. And every
Yes.
quarter you need to hit those specific OKRs. And if you're not hitting them well enough, you will not be able to continue on working with them for the next quarter. So keeping a client like them for 5.5 years, I think one of my biggest challenges that I've ever had from the professional side, because they're super sophisticated as a company and they are data driven. Like usually 90% certainty on a decision is good enough. With their case, if it's not 99% certainty, we're not
Yes.
making it. Like it's
Yeah.
everything there is much more complex, and the benchmarks of what works on one market and how it impacts on other markets, super sophisticated team, extremely data driven team, and I think that they made us much better. Like
Right.
we won them in 2015 as a client, and I think that during the 5.5 years that we worked together, we learned so many things about how to push the envelope and how to be the most data driven company out there of how to actually approach decision making on marketing.
Right. Yes. You're absolutely right. And then to be able to get to, was it pretty exciting? The first big company that you guys worked with, was that like kind of a game changer? Did you go, like, how did you guys react when it came to that?
Yeah, I think that we were super excited, but we were
Yeah.
also very, very worried initially because I said, I remember that we said like back in the day, we know how to do upsell optimization really well. They took us as their upsell optimization partner back in the day. So it's creative, it's A/B testing, it's screenshots, and it's a lot of things related to the App Store, title, subtitle, short description. Never mind, lots of items that you need to create for them every month. But I felt like on one end, I've done it many times. I saw the results. I know the practice. They took me because they saw and got the recommendation from another client. So we got there in the best possible path. We were competing against 24 other agencies on that piece of business, and we managed to get the highest prediction score on their sheet. And because of that, basically, they gave us the ability to start with 3 apps. It only started with 3 products.
Yes.
And we managed to scale it later on really significantly. But I feel like that kind of gave me the stamp of approval to say, you know what you
Yeah.
do now, you're one of the best ones in the world that actually do that
Exactly.
specific thing. And that
Right.
level of stamp of saying, when we started in Israel, so we work with a lot of startups, we all work with the bigger companies, but it's still very like it's within the same niche. It's very easy, so to speak, to grow from one client to another. It's easier to do due diligence on you because it's a smaller country and things of that nature. When we opened the New York branch in 2014, then we tried to show a lot of companies, hey, these are the case studies that we've done and things like that nature. Okay, great. Show me the references of who you actually worked before, and I want to speak with them. And then saying, well, their number starts with plus 972. Like you need to actually call across the ocean, to be able to speak with
Yeah.
someone. And that kind of lowered the trust, saying, like, show me American brands that you actually work with. Someone show me. And the reason, the response was that, hey, you know what? There are no, like we just opened the New York office now. We are doing exactly based on the same methodology. All of the companies that we work with in Israel, we're not focusing on the Israeli market. Like all of them marketed to the US market, but still it's not the same type of a thing.
You're
And I
right.
feel like one of those stamps of approval of saying, well, guys, don't need to be apologetic anymore that I don't have so many clients to refer to. If Google chose me and I'm good enough to work with Google,
Yeah.
you don't need to do more due diligence. If you want to talk to Google, no problem. I'll give you the references. But
Yes.
like once you have that type of a client on your roster, it changes the status quo forever. Like you don't need to. You
Absolutely.
just show the logo and okay,
Yes.
you got my attention.
Yeah.
What do you do for them? How does that actually work?
Yeah, if somebody scrolls down onto your website and you get to have that, it's like immediately people are like, okay, this is legit company, regardless
Exactly.
of where they're at. But at the same time, for some reason, the stigma of being in the United States, it's like makes it a little bit easier too. But at the same time, it's just incredible what you guys have done, and I know we talked about this a little earlier about skipping steps, but one thing that stands out about Moburst is that you've, expanded beyond traditional marketing into areas like product development, creative and analytics and technology. So how do you think about deciding when to expand your capabilities versus trying staying focused on your core expertises?
I think that this is a really interesting question because we always stayed very true to say, if I'm a world expert on solving that problem, I will take that project. If we can't, I will not take that project. I didn't believe in fake it till you make it. I said it, if we're taking a project, I need to know that I can excel in that specific project.
Yes.
And that helped me save the reputation lots of times. Like it's very easy for you to be tempted to, yeah, I have some capabilities there, but yeah, let's fake it till we make it and see what we can do. And I feel like in our specific case, we kind of grew every single time on additional opportunities. So we served the client, for example, and we saw that they were doing in-house influencer marketing and said, you know what, this is one of the best channels that we see that are working for us. And we said, okay, great. If this is working for this type of a product, maybe let's try to do that also within the company. Like we have the access to see what really works and what doesn't work. And maybe and they said that they have problem to scale that because they only had one person. So if we have another person, we can actually help them to do that. Let's do a pilot on that part and bring someone with a lot of years of experience and trying to get into that niche. And then we build it and we made a lot of mistakes and we made a lot of things that we tested that made sense for us on the paper, and we saw that the results are not justifying it. And at the same time, we managed to find some things that were, oh my God, like I can't believe how good those results are in the same month. Like you're testing six different types of influencers, two are killing it, and four are like complete disasters. And
Yes.
then check, okay, what are the common things about the two that actually worked really well there? And then, okay, great. Now let's do more of that, and let's replicate this type of a thing. And if you have a data-driven mindset, you fail a lot, but you also learn really fast about what failed and what worked for you. So I felt like every single time we kind of entered into a new era where a client asked us to scale or help them with more resources on something that was a big pain point for them, and all we knew that we need to buy it or we need to build it. And if we need to buy it or to build it, on some cases it made more sense to buy it. And this is where we've done 6 acquisitions. And if I wouldn't do an acquisition of a dev house, for example, in 2022, I wouldn't have developers. I would never open a department of developers because I don't know how to manage them. I don't know how
Yes.
to give them guidance about the code because I don't know how to program. So how can I actually give them recommendations on those things? But I felt like when we are buying a dev house with a CTO and with a whole development team, and they have already working processes and they already have, so now I have another partner in the company that knows how to develop and know how to actually train them. And now it makes sense to actually go into a place where saying, hey, you know what? Now I have a full service and I'll be also be able to build you the website or build you the app,
Yes.
which is something that in 2013 I didn't have the option. In 2022, hey, you know what? I can also take the development if that's a big hassle for you guys, and we can help you fix that problem.
Yes.
So we grew from seeing needs of our own clients, and they asked us to help them to scale on things that we said, you know what, and being very honest about it, guys, like we're not sure that will work. But if you want to test that type of a thing, we can try to build this as a pilot together. And if it will work, again, we won't going to try to make any profit out of that, but we do want to get that expertise and actually building it as another offering within the company. And if you're okay with that, we'll find some of the best talent that we can have out of, like someone that bring 5 years of experience or 7 years of experience in this niche, and let's figure it out together. Like we're
Yes.
in this road together. And a lot of times it opens us the door to actually build new service offerings together with clients where the trust was and the transparency was 100%. We didn't say, yeah, sure, we'll take it, no problem. Like, no, it was very transparent. And at the same time, where we said, you know, this is like we just don't know even how to approach that problem. Let's buy another agency that does exactly that. This is what we've done with the PR agency that we bought in Orlando with 30 folks. This is what we've done with the folks that we bought on Kitcaster, which is the podcast agency in Denver. This is what we've done with another agency, just for example, that we've just closed from a Amazon agency that is focusing only on Amazon in Bulgaria. So it's another 30 folks that joined us. Like it's adding more sets of capabilities, revenues, clients, and basically another set of things that we feel like we can bring them a lot more value and a lot more clients, and helping them to optimize their operations, because I feel like on the operation side, we are really good on the marketing, on the sales, on the operation, on finance, a lot of those things I feel like we do really, really well. And other smaller agencies do not have the same level of resources as we do. And then opening us more elements that we are now. I can say that we are one of the world experts on Amazon management, but this is something that 6 months ago I would not take the lead. I would say, you know what, I don't have the resources. Now I have 3 partners with 30 folks with 150 case studies of how we do Amazon better than any other company out there. But I didn't have that 6 months ago before the acquisition. So now I feel like I know how to blend those capabilities together and bringing world of really top experts on every single one of those niches and being able to be one-stop shop for my clients.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant because, you're doing exactly what you said. You didn't go out and say, we're, fake it till you make it. You guys are actually going about it and bringing value the right way. So how does it work? I guess, do you hear it enough? Do you have to hear it a few times for clients that need a certain fix or service? And then you're like, okay, actually now it makes sense to go out and purchase or acquire. Is it more like something that you're like, man, this is a huge possibility. We need to go at it right now and try and get ahead of the game? Is it a mix of both?
So today I have a director of M&A, and he's the entire role of his is like finding us 2 more acquisitions every year. So he has lots of different criteria, lots of different ranges, lots of different things that we are looking at and scouting for. But initially it started from seeing a need. So we started as a mobile only shop, and then video became a very prominent thing, and you had a preview video within the App Store. And back in the day, we worked with Samsung, we worked with Google, we worked with Discovery, like very, very big companies.
Yes.
And you can say to a company like Discovery that are having 17 TV channels, I will create you a preview video if you don't have world experts on how to create videos.
Yes.
It won't going to fly. So we worked with another agency for a year and a half that were kind of a subcontractor of ours. Again, full transparency in front of the client, saying like, guys, this is a team that we are working with. We trust them, but it's not part of Moburst. So if you don't like something, like let us know. But once we actually tested it out for quite a few projects, and we saw that the team were collaborating amazingly together, we said, okay, great, let's just swallow them in. They need to just be part of the group. And then basically we agreed on acquiring their team and added video as part of our capabilities. So we saw a need in the market. We saw that it was something that we were outsourcing because the client asked us to solve it. And basically I had a creative team. I didn't have a high-end video production team. It's a different level of skills. And we tried to help our clients to basically find those solutions. And once we found those solutions, then okay, let's just swallow them in and into the group. So that's how we started. We had on that first acquisition, they had 50% of the company was video, high-end video production, and the other 50% was web design. So we're very excited about the video production, not as excited about the web design, because web design was a bit farther away from what we do, but it was part of what we acquired. So, okay, great. We managed to acquire that as part of the package. And the web design, a lot of those clients said, hey, you know what? You're doing the UI, UX, you're doing already the design of those products. Can you also do the development? Said, well, we don't have developers. We outsourced that with another development company to actually do the development. But then we found development team that we really trusted, and we really felt like they could be great partners, and we basically swallowed them in. And basically, okay, now we have the development in-house as well, because we saw that we were spending more than $1 million a year on development, basically for what the clients actually asked us to do, and saying, hey, you know what, why not plugging it in as well? So that led us to the second acquisition, and the third one was about PR. We're launching so many products for our clients, and they're saying always, hey, can you also handle the PR? And we said, we do everything digital beyond PR. PR was not something that we really do know how to do. It's not, we can't really, like, you can pitch all day for reporters, but you can guarantee that the results will follow and things like nature. And we worked with a lot of PR folks throughout the years for our clients. Basically, the client basically was choosing us for digital and someone else for the PR. And we saw another failure and another failure and another failure until we actually saw that one PR company really stood out, and we saw that the result that they're bringing is phenomenal. And we kept on recommending them for also future clients of ours, saying, hey, you know what, we don't do that, but they do. And at the end of the day, we basically swallowed that entire team. Now it's Uproar by Moburst, again, the team from Orlando. So we just try to help our clients grow. And then we saw how much revenue goes to different directions, and basically saying, why can't we just have that as part of our group, basically?
Yes. No, it's so smart, because I think I've only spoken with one other person on this podcast who, out of 170 interviews, that had done the same thing, where well, at least that he mentioned it, right? That he said that, he was looking at what they were outsourcing, and then it was like, well, let's just do it ourselves. Whether it was real estate, they're outsourcing a bunch of, renting and doing things like that. They're like, you know what, let's just start our own business doing this. And he said it's been one of the best things and best drivers for their business, because, how much are we spending to do this when we could just do it ourselves, figure out a way to do it ourselves. So it truly is brilliant. And it's probably pretty fun to look back and see where you guys started versus now, how much has changed since 2013, especially with now how fast artificial intelligence and technology is advancing. So, because Moburst has embraced AI-powered marketing and uses technologies across different areas of your business, of course, right? So how do you believe AI will reshape the future of marketing, and what should leaders be doing today to prepare for it?
Yes, though that's a massive, massive topic. I think that on the AI side, like, we are investing extremely hard on that. Like, we have 24 folks in the company that are building AI automations, workflows, products, and things that are kind of different than how we used to do things before. And with that, basically, we launched 11 new products outside of automations and obviously custom GPTs and all of the Claude skills and all that's obvious.
Yes.
But taking it all the way to a full, like, SaaS solution, so to speak, they're actually building like a startup within the company of new products that were not even offered before as a company. But we saw that, hey, if we know how to write content extremely well, how to do SEO really well, maybe create our own network of sites, and then now let's actually grow that network of sites and actually having our own inventory on different niches, and like lots of things that kind of came as opportunities from capabilities that we had on the table, and then leveraging them in a very unique way of getting more and better results and more retainers that are not related with just selling hours. So we built the entire infrastructure of Moburst from scratch. I feel like in the last 2 years, we are kind of rebuilding every single way. We know what are the results that are following the best practices that we have, but we built now, instead of doing it manually, doing it half manually, or 70% automated, or 90% automated. And I think that kind of reshaped everything about how we are approaching marketing. The data-driven processes that we are going through are very, very rigorous. I think that when you're looking on as a leader for the future of AI and how the work streams are being changed and things like nature, one of the biggest untapped opportunities today is getting you ranked on the right queries on ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Grok, and Claude. So when someone is searching for best mobile marketing agency, that Moburst will come number one. Or when someone is looking for best digital marketing agency, Moburst will come number one. Like, these type of things have a massive opportunity. It's like the reborn of the internet, because if a lot of users basically asking those queries on those LLMs and basically go to ChatGPT saying, okay, what is the best way to vacuum my office? And then, okay, you can go with Dyson, or you can go with a Shark, or what have you, and it will recommend you, hey, go with Shark if you need to this with da 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 da, and go with Dyson if you need da 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 da. And what that explanation is, a lot of people feel like this is something that you cannot impact, or you cannot really challenge or change. But how the information is being processed by those algorithms, you can definitely impact it in a meaningful way. And if you can get ChatGPT to favor you more than your competitors, you'll win a massive amount of more traffic. And not just a massive amount of more traffic, but also the level of trust. The users that are coming because they were searching Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT and got you as the recommendation, they're coming and they're 80% more likely to choose your specific service. So they're starting the exploration processing. well, what is the best way to launch a mobile app? And then, okay, who is the best partner to help me figure that out and actually build all of the different things? Oh, okay, Moburst can actually, okay, great. Okay, so can I trust Moburst? And then it says, yeah, they're working this and this and this and that. And they won all of those industry awards. And like they're doing all of those things. And it's 13 years and more than 1,000 clients that they have gone through them. And all of the feedback that they have is very positive. So, okay, you help me now to figure out who is the vendor that I need. I might approach
Yes.
Moburst and the number 2 in the list, but that's it. But now, because I got there from the recommendation by ChatGPT or Gemini, I trust it much more. From the get-go, I'm not coming to be sold, so to speak. I'm coming to say, yeah, it's vetted exactly what I had in mind about this company. So I feel like the notion of how users are searching online changing in a very meaningful way, and marketeers can definitely impact it if they know how to actually play and reverse engineer those algorithms. Just like we've done
Yes.
initially in the App Store, we're doing exactly the same way of like understanding what are the elements that make ChatGPT recommend me or my competitor. Oh, this is
Hmm.
a thread from Reddit that was impacting it. Oh, we have here something from Wikipedia that they took. Okay, there
Yes.
is a review site that's actually ranking us against other 5 agencies, and we are not on the top, and they are preferring one of the ones that are in the top there. So how do I actually get on the top of that specific website? Because it impacts ChatGPT, that gives me a higher score, and because of that, I will be more recommended on more of those elements. And then seeing what type of changes you need from schema and frequently asked questions on the website itself, on the structure of the website, and how to actually look on the brand on LinkedIn thought leadership that is also being read by all of those ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and Claude. So if they're all reading the content every single day that is out there on the internet, and you have more than 1 billion pieces of content every single day that are being generated online, which is a crazy amount.
Yes.
But what those LLMs are feeding out of, what do they prefer to read? What are the things that are actually giving them higher credibility score? If you know how to impact them, you impact the results and who they're actually preferring on different queries. And there is a massive opportunity, just like you had in SEO of 2000, there is
Yes.
exactly the same type of opportunity for the ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and Claude. Perplexity is probably weaker at this stage, but Gemini and ChatGPT are massive amount of volume there. Claude is a massive decision maker for all of the businesses out there. So B2B and B2C are different. Consumers are looking for Gemini and ChatGPT. Companies usually relying more on Claude, on Anthropic for that. And if you know how to navigate the queries and how to actually reverse engineer those type of machines to prefer your answer and show that you know your authority on that specific space, the opportunity is endless of getting not just more traffic, but the best buyers that are the most mature to make a buying decision from those engines.
Hmm. Is it going to be different than SEO? For example, like when you search, for example, Business Leaders of America podcast, because, it comes up first, second, third, fifth, all the way through. Is it going to be different? Are you going to have to continue to improve to make sure that you stay on those lists? Because I feel like obviously all the information that's changing is going to be crazy for, if say you search the top 10 podcasts or whatever across, business podcasts, is that going to continue to change? Are you going to have to keep doing things to reverse engineer that to make sure you stay on that list versus, if you just search on Google Business Leaders of America podcast, it's going to pop up?
Yeah, the answer is unfortunately yes.
Yeah,
For brand search, if someone is looking for your specific name, they
right.
will find you. Okay,
Of course.
that's not a traffic that's going to be very hard to convert, or to even if they find your biggest competitor, then they continue scrolling because they're looking for specifically for you. But
Yes.
if someone is looking for what is the best podcast out there for top professionals to get more understanding on this and this and that, then it's a matter of, okay, you are not definitely the number one choice for that. You
Yes.
competing against tens of thousands of additional podcasts out there. So the models keeps on changing. On ChatGPT, for example, they're about to launch ChatGPT 5.6 that
Yeah.
changes the algorithm and how they prioritize different things. On Claude, they just launched Claude, the 5 version of Claude. when you're looking on each and every one of those models, every single time that are launching a new model, it works a bit differently. It prioritizes the information a bit differently. They process the information a bit differently. It is a long run and not just like
Yes.
a quick
Short
fix and
term.
that's it.
Yeah, right.
But the impact of being there and being cited there now, like being recommended by those LLMs, the return of investment that you can do. If you're ranked number one in Google, you can still not be even in the top 15 of ChatGPT
Yes.
and Gemini. That's the reality.
Yes.
Even though the Gemini owns by Google, still the results could be so different.
Yes.
So you need to understand what each engine basically prioritizes, and then how do you help them to synthesize the signals that they need, the trust signals that they're looking for. Are you the best solution, or they the best? Your biggest competitors is the best solution. And for that, you need to continue on tracking it and seeing what your biggest competitors are doing. They're also making a lot of changes. They're also creating a lot of content. So it's definitely a war game that is not just for a month of doing quick fixes and that's it. But
Yes.
the value of what you can actually extract on the other end is it's one of the best ROIs that you can ever do when you're getting recommended. And I had a lot of clients that basically said, "Well, who is the best mortgage company for veterans?" And the fact that now New Day USA, for example, pops in the top three, the level of readiness of those customers to take a mortgage is non-comparable to any other media source, on not even Google search, not even any source. Like the level of, they're hot. They're not just warm. They are the hottest that the lead can be to buy
Yeah.
from you, and
Right.
the value that you can extract there is phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that should have been my question, is more along the lines of how different is it going to be from, platforms like Google and Bing versus, the LLM platforms, right? And seeing how to get those to pop up. So, and instead of course, searching directly for it, because if you search, Business Leaders of America podcast on it directly, it's going to pop up all the information, right? But getting ranked, how different was this? So thank you for answering that. I appreciate it. But Gilad, this has been amazing, man. Thank you so much for joining. I do want to ask, for those who want to learn more about Moburst, your work, connect with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Amazing. The easiest way would probably be just Google Moburst, Moburst in Google. Basically, finding the website, or finding me specifically on LinkedIn. Or Gilad at Moburst.com. That's the email. So again, I would love to help with any growth related challenges that I can.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's a lot of information that you just shared that a lot of people are going to be like, man, I need to start getting ahead of this, for my business. So hopefully it starts driving some that way. But again, I really do appreciate you joining today and spending time with me and the listeners.
Thank you so much for having me.